心は誰にも見えないけれど、心遣いは見える。
Hey guys, how's it going? My name is MrOonter, and I want to just cut straight to the point because I have 10 minutes to talk about an important matter with as much detail as I could, and I know I'm going to leave something out, so be prepared for some editing. But first, for those who don't know me, and for those who are watching me for the first time, or if you've just started watching my videos, my name is MrOonter. I am an English teacher in Japan. I live in the Chiba area, Chiba Prefecture. I'm about 2.5 hours from Tokyo, just to give you some idea, just to give you an idea, and about almost 300 kilometers south of the Fukushima nuclear power plant. So I got a message from a user, and he asked, "Hey, are you still alive?" And usually when you ask somebody if they're still alive, it's usually in jest and it's usually in sarcasm, and it's like, "I haven't seen you in a while. You know, are you still alive? Are you dead?" But I don't know whether or not he was serious by that question, but it's actually a legitimate question. Am I still alive? And the answer obviously is yes. I did survive the big earthquake that happened. My previous earthquake experiences, I've been to California once or twice. I felt an earthquake overnight. It really wasn't much. Couldn't even tell it was really there, but I just kind of like, I felt it. When I first came to Japan, the earthquakes we had, any of the earthquakes we had before this were, I can say they were weak. They were weak earthquakes. I wasn't really nervous the first time I felt one. From my perspective, an earthquake feels like you're sitting in a car and someone starts shaking it. Not that strong, but someone starts shaking it regardless. Or it feels like a theme park attraction or an amusement park ride. And I'm not trying to make light of earthquakes, but that's what that's what attractions and theme park attractions and rides are for. They're to put you in that sort of danger, but you feel safe because it's a theme park, and their job is not to kill you. Their job is to give you that thrill and that sense of danger, but you're not really in danger. So that's what it feels like. And when an earthquake comes, it's usually there for like 30 seconds, and sometimes a lot less, like 5 seconds, and you just kind of shake and ride it out. So I never really was bothered by earthquakes before. Where I was that day, it was March 11th. It's been 2 months now. I was at one of my elementary schools. It was actually my last day of the school year. Now, if you don't know this, the Japanese school year ends at the end of March, and the next school year begins in April. So right now I'm in my 3rd year as a teacher, as an English teacher. And it's now May, and I've just begun my new school year. So this was the end of this last school year, and it was my last day before vacation. I get like a month off or so for vacation because there are no English classes towards the end of the school year and the beginning of the school year. But anyway, my very last day of school, I'm excited to leave, and I'm gonna have a great spring vacation. I had planned on going to Hokkaido to go see some attractions there, and visit a friend. And the teachers and I had just sent the kids out back home. Goodbye, sayonara. So the kids are on their way back home. The teachers and I go back into the teacher's room, and we're just talking, whatever, yada yada yada, jabber jabber jabber. I start hearing a beep, beep 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 over in the background, and I'm like, oh, okay. Then 3 seconds later, the ground starts shaking, and we're like, all right, it's an earthquake. Then I would say about every second it got stronger and stronger and stronger. As it shook more and more, I just started seeing panic in my teachers' faces. And that's when I know this isn't going to be good. And they start getting worried, they start panicking. Some teachers start, ducking down, getting down. eventually I hid under a desk, and it's shaking for like a good minute, and it's shaking really strong. Like I can't describe it. I have another incident later that I'll tell you about that I can describe, but. So I'm sitting under the desk, and it's shaking, and it's getting worse, and it's getting worse, and I'm thinking to myself, like, if this is it, if this is where I die and how I die, like I did fear for my life, because I had no idea the extent of the earthquake and how much stronger it would get, and I just hope that I lived a good life, and everyone that I love knows I love them, and I get to meet my Maker. I get to meet the Almighty Father. But I was scared, and eventually it did start to slow down. And when it was slowing down, I stood up. I looked out the window, and I looked at the school grounds, and it's waving and shaking like an ocean. I'm not even exaggerating. The ground's starting to look like ocean waves, and it's going this way, it's going that way, it's going all sorts of ways. You can see the houses in the distance start to sway back and forth. The principal's car is just rocking this way, side to side. As soon as it stops, some of the teachers grab their belongings. For some reason, I didn't grab anything. I don't know why. And then, they grabbed their helmets, and they went outside. And they're like, oh my gosh, like, what was that? Oh my, just slight panic. Nothing big, but it was slight panic, just like confusion. And we're looking around the school grounds, and there was underground water that had sprung up from the grounds at the school, and it had created mounds and ditches. The parking lot was legitimately cracked, and if I have some pictures, I'll show you. A lot of the sidewalk was cracked. You look in the distance, the roof tiles on the houses were broken off. So the first thing we do is we go out and we look for the kids, because we had just sent them home, and they're on their way home, and an earthquake starts happening, and roof tiles start falling down. So I go out with 2 teachers to look for all the kids. Luckily, they were all safe, and no one was hurt, thank God. But a lot of the kids were shooken up. But then the second earthquake hits, and now I can tell you that it was strong enough that we couldn't even stand. I'm a big guy, and I'm pretty stable, and standing was nearly impossible for me. And we ran into someone's backyard, and it was wide enough where it was safe, and we just knelt down and we waited it out. We go back to the teacher's room. What do I have next? All the power's off. All the power's off. The water's off. Everything's off. The phone services are, of course, busy, so calling is nearly impossible. I think emailing was pretty difficult to do as well. And I tried calling my wife at home. She was home alone, and I'm worried about her. I'm trying to call her, text her, email her, asking if everything's okay. So eventually, they said, you should go home, and here's what you should do. If you don't know, I live out in the country, and so there's a lot of small streets, a lot of how do I describe it? Well, anyway, there were a lot of damaged roads in the immediate vicinity, and so I had lots of detours on my way home. I usually have like a 35-minute commute turn into an hour and a half commute, and because I hit about 3 or 4 detours, and what didn't help was I had to use the bathroom, and that was pretty painful. But on my way home, I see a little bit of damage here and there, and there's traffic backed up because the road is, uneven here, and the roads are literally cracked up. All the shops, all the stores, all the malls, the gas stations, everybody was closed because there was no power, there was no water. Then there was no point, Everyone go back home to your families and try to do what you can at home. So everyone's walking home. I have to use the bathroom, and I ended up stopping at a junior high school that's no longer being used, but I know there's construction going on there. So I ran to the construction workers, and I actually used the porta potty, and they're like, yeah, go ahead, and they kind of laughed about it. But surprisingly, this abandoned junior high school was still intact. So I finally got home after about an hour and a half. I have about a minute left, so I'm going to cut it off here. and continue to the next part.